Hey, good morning, everybody, or good morning from where I am. I'm in Colorado. It's just 11 o'clock. We're going to give this about 2 minutes, maybe less, because I don't have a lot of, I don't have a clock with me, and we'll get started. Okay, I'm ready. So just before we kick things off, I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping. We have muted you all to reduce some background noise. I'm going to urge you folks to use the Q&A box down at the bottom to ask some questions, either for myself or our guest, and we'll try to answer those at the end. And what I find is that the questions that we get are really, they lead to a really good conversation. So urge you guys to do that. And also, we are going to be recording this. So welcome to HomeAdvisor's webinar series called Pro Talk, Best Practices to Win Jobs. We developed this webinar series about 8 weeks ago, maybe a little bit longer, as a way to help new service providers like yourself to get started on the platform and to learn a little bit from a pro. So my name is Sherry Bastura, and I am an account manager in the strategic partnerships team. And this week's guest is Reid Gravitte. Did I say that right?
Close enough.
Close enough.
It's Italian. Gravitte.
So Reid is from After Hours Home Improvement, and we've asked him to come on and share some of his pearls of wisdom to help you navigate the HomeAdvisor platform. So Reid, I would love for you to introduce yourself and to share a little bit about your company and your business.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Like Sherry, thank you for the warm welcome. My name is Reid Gravitte. I am with After Hours Home Improvement. And I started with HomeAdvisor. It used to be called Service Magic, and it's now HomeAdvisor. For those of you who are new, you might not know that, but I digress. Yep. I joined back in 2006, yep, and have been a member ever since because it was time to get into the technological era. The phone books were pretty much, going away. So you have to be on the internet. I happened to hear about HomeAdvisor or Service Magic back then, HomeAdvisor from this point forward, through a mutual plumber. I just heard them over talking. I didn't know much about lead generation services. They were kind of new, but I investigated it. And what I liked about HomeAdvisor is they were advertising on all the huge platforms, TV, internet, big channels, CNN, money channels. So I started saying, wow, these guys, why not be doing something pretty great? So I joined and filled out all the pertinent information that you need, which I highly recommend anybody join. And you need to take advantage of every single tool that HomeAdvisor offers to be successful, i.e., get that website filled out, folks. Get as many pictures as you can. Get all the information about yourself. Present yourself tremendously. Any awards you got, little or small, just anything you can do to put out there, put it out there.
Oh, good. We're gonna get into that. I'm gonna dive into that now. I'm gonna ask you specific questions about that. So when we were chatting, I had asked you how you came up with your name, After Hours Home Improvement, yep, and it's a great little story. So can you just share that, and then we'll kind of dive into the HomeAdvisor stuff.
Sure. All right. So back in the day, your company, needed to start with the letter A. For those who've been around since the phone book days, if you had a company that started with anything else besides an A, chances are people weren't going to thumb through the pages that far to get to you. So A was the way to go. They found you first on the first page, and you were getting that phone call 9 times out of 10. So
I love that.
Well, because we had the reputation, I didn't want to change it on the internet, but I already had the A. So anyway, that's how I came up with After Hours Home Improvement, because I needed something to start with the letter A, and that seemed to be pretty catchy. So, and we offer 24-hour service.
There you go. So you had mentioned that how you found out about HomeAdvisor was through a plumber friend of yours. And at this point, we were Service Magic. So this was, 15 plus years ago. So is that actually really led you to this kind of marketing or lead aggregating?
Yeah, I overheard him how well he was doing. He was starting his own company, and not a big company, but his own company nonetheless. And he was impressed with it. And I heard him And you got to do one or two things today. You need to have your own website regardless, because the more you have your name out there on Google, the more you're going to crawl up the pages.
Right.
So, but when I heard how he was getting leads, that was a new thing 15 years ago, lead generation. Otherwise, you were still waiting on phone calls, even
Right.
with your own website on the internet, and you might not be found as quickly as you could through HomeAdvisor, because you guys were doing a mass push on TV, internet. You were everywhere. So I'm
Right.
thinking, well, heck, why not ride the coattails, right? Seems smart to me. And,
Yeah.
and again, if you do everything correctly, your chances of success are going to be high, extremely high.
That's great.
And
So,
you know, you go ahead.
no, I was not finished. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say too, you know, one of the things, I think two of the most important things you need to do is get your website up and running with you guys, and then get as many reviews as you can.
That's perfect. So I'm going to linger there with you for a minute. So for folks that are just joining, when you sign up with HomeAdvisor, you get what we call a profile. And that profile goes onto our directory. And that's how homeowners or customers will choose a service provider that they want to use. But this is a way, what I liken it to, it's your storefront. So we're going to ask you guys to spend some time on your profile, put a description of your company, put some logos up, some pictures, anything to kind of start to build a warm relationship with that homeowner. So I'm just going to go back a little bit, Reid. So when you get a lead from HomeAdvisor, do you treat that differently, or what's your process? So when you get a lead, are you calling it immediately? Are you emailing? Are you texting? Kind of what's your process?
Well, I'm going to say this, and I mean this seriously. You're a fool if you don't call any lead immediately. Okay? I hear people say all the time that, oh, HomeAdvisor, I joined them, the lead, sometimes they were good, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what, folks? If you have your own website, I'm going to tell you this right now. Every lead that comes in, they're going to be looky-loos. They're going to have wrong information, just as well as HomeAdvisor. It's just the way that people are. So if you're paying for a lead on your own website, 100% of the time, they're not going to be perfect leads, and you're not going to get every job. But if you set yourself apart, if you, like Sherry just said, you fill out all the information the best that you can on your profile, you get the pictures out there, you get the reviews going. When the lead comes in, contact the people right away. What I can tell you what every single person says 98% of the time. Wow, you guys are fast. Thank you. That's exactly what they say. And if you wait, other contractors are going to call. It's called competition. And let me tell you all this too. If you have your own website, don't think that client that reached out to your website is not reaching out to 3 or 4 other companies. If you think that they're not, you're a fool. You won't be in business long. Trust me. So call that lead. And I can tell you folks this, I may not get every job when the leads come in, but I have a 80 to 90% close rate when I get in front of the client. That's my job. That's going to be your job as future contractors and members of HomeAdvisor. Your job is to close, whether that comes to HomeAdvisor or your website. But it starts with picking up the phone immediately when they send in a lead and or email, text, whatever, however they want to be contacted. Get yourself in front of the people and close the job, folks. But you got to start with communication. Don't let it sit there, because the job's going to be gone. Somebody is spending their time to fill out information. Guess what, people? They're 50% of the way there. Some of them, they need something done right away. They got a leak. They're out of electric. They're out of AC. Man, you can't fail if you follow the steps right. I'm telling you, you're not going to fail.
Right. So I'm going to reiterate what you just said. So you're going to call your lead immediately. As soon as that lead comes in, you're on the phone. You've got to make that phone call. I also coach some of my other partners I work with, and we try to say there's 3 ways that people get in touch right now. Obviously, telephone, email, and text. Text has really kind of changed everything. I am not a millennial by any stretch of the imagination, but for whatever reason, I usually don't answer my phone as much as I should. I do look at my emails, but for whatever reason, when I get a text, I just happen to respond to it much quicker. So I'm going to urge you folks to use, those 3 methods to get in touch, and also to put some kind of cadence in place. You might want to reach out 5 times the first day, 4 times the second day, wait a couple of days, whatever it is, but get a process in place so that you know and your staff knows exactly how you're going to handle a lead from HomeAdvisor. So now I know, Reid, you guys are currently all in. You have all of our lead types. You've got a healthy spend target, but do you have a dedicated folks at your office who kind of are scripted when they have to respond to a lead? So do you have a dedicated couple girls or guys in the office that are responding to those leads?
Yeah. Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So as soon, our goal, FedEx used to have a policy before texting came along. If you called their office, if you didn't answer on the first ring, if you worked for FedEx, you were, docked, and pretty soon they would just let you go. Their policy was such great customer service. They picked up that phone on the first ring. So we have people, when the lead comes in, we have a span of time that they have to reach out to those, whether it's text, email. Actually, to be honest with you, we do all 3. We're going to call the client, we're going to text them, and we're going to email them, because like you said, that was so well put. The older people getting up towards my age and some other folks' age, they still like the phone calls, okay? Mm-hmm. The people over the 40s, they love it. That's just how they are, and that's great. And eventually you're going to have to deal with people anyway. You got to come into their house. But the millennials, they do like the texting. They're on the go. They like the email. So if they leave you email and the phone number, folks, text them, call them, and email them. That's why they're giving you that information. They're telling you how they want to be contacted. You left 3 ways. You reached out 3 different ways. You emailed them, you called them, you texted them, and trust me, they're going to appreciate that. And then, eventually they will get back to you. I think it's a good idea to circle back around. People are busy. I'm not a big fan personally of overcalling too much or reaching out too much. I think you get buried concentrating on one lead too long. If they're not getting back to you, maybe something's changed on their end, then I think you start losing efficiency. But I am a big fan of redundancy, maybe second time going back around, but you don't want to overwhelm yourself. Number 1, and number 2, maybe they found somebody. Just let it go. I've reached out to people twice, and 3-4 weeks down the road, they called me back and said, "Hey, we were busy. Somebody died, or dog got sick, whatever the case may be." I forgot about them, but they said, "Hey, thanks for reaching out again. Sorry, we were busy, but let's move forward." So, let it sit. Just because they don't call you back doesn't mean you're not going to get the job. It just means, they got a life, something's going on. But I wouldn't recommend bugging them too much, just maybe a couple times.
Yeah, great advice. So I'm hoping you can share a little bit of some of your best practices. We talked about making sure that you have a robust profile, and we just briefly touched on ratings and reviews. So I wanted just to ask you what your process is, because we know that folks with a lot of ratings and a lot of reviews are going to get chosen first. So what's kind of your process? Do you ask customers for a review, or do you do it at the end of the job when you're handshake? Kind of what's your process with ratings and reviews?
All right, this is my favorite part. So customer reviews, people, I can't stress enough. Customer service, customer service, customer service. It's what is going to set you apart, period. When people hire you, they expect you to be able to do the plumbing. You have a license. But what they don't expect is the cleanliness, the tremendous customer service. So what I did is the first year, I had the phone or iPad right in front of me when the job's closed. And I said, "Folks, if you give me a review right now, I'll take $50, $75 off the bill." And they're like, "You serious?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Now, some people be like, "Wow, you're losing money." No. I may have taken money off of them, but guess what, folks? That $75 is going to get me $1,000 down the road, because the reviews add up, and that's exactly what people look at nowadays. You could be the best company in the world, folks, but if you don't have any reviews, nobody's going to care. They're just not going to care. So you need to get in front of the people, because people, again, they have lives. Yeah, I'll leave you a review. Send me an email. 50% of those, probably less than that, to be honest with you, actually send in a review because they just get busy. It's not because they didn't like you. They just forgot. So to me, I have the guys right there. Hey, if you don't mind taking the time, we'll knock off a little bit on this invoice. We really appreciate it. It shows others how good we are. We know you appreciated our service, and we're willing to knock some money off for you to take just 5 minutes of your time and write the review. And I've never had anybody say no, never.
So have you heard from a lot of homeowners that that's how they found you, is through your reviews?
Yeah, that's what sets us apart. I mean, we're good at what we do. We're very good, but I always tell people this too. And I tell my employees to this day on our weekly meetings, when we go to a job, folks, we're not only representing After Hours Home Improvement, but we're representing HomeAdvisor. And what I mean by that is this: I want to do a good job for us, obviously, but I want to do a good job for HomeAdvisor, because I want that person to go tell 5 or 10 other people they found this tremendous company through HomeAdvisor. Now, you might say, well, that's defeating the purpose. No, what it's doing is it's making HomeAdvisor look good. I might not get some of the jobs they go tell those people, but guess what? The next 5, 6, 7 years down the road, I'm going to be able to get in there and get more leads because HomeAdvisor is looking good. Therefore, they're going to be around longer. So it would behoove you to make sure that your employees are representing your company well, number one, because it's your company, but number two, represent HomeAdvisor well. If you know that's where that's the fruit, right? So you got to tender that tree, folks. You know, that's some great advice. I hope you guys take that.
Yeah, and you just kind of took it out of. I was just going to say, what would be some nuggets or some pearls of wisdom that you have now that you wish you had known when you first started? So you kind of just said that, but it's the reviews that are really driving it.
It is. It's the reviews. I got lucky because, you know, I came in HomeAdvisor when it was just beginning, but I also overheard somebody and I was able to talk to that person. So this is perfect what you're all doing right now, because I had somebody to talk to that was already a member. So that's the tremendous thing. It just, you know, call HomeAdvisor. You guys are so helpful. I think people get afraid to call because they don't want to ask questions. They feel embarrassed. Let me tell you something, folks. That's what HomeAdvisor is there for. They're there to help you out. They want to be successful. They want to see you successful. So just pick up the phone. There's no dumb questions. Call, ask them their advice. I've done that plenty of times before. And you guys have always given me back great feedback. They're there to help you out. So you know, this is great because the people out there that are listening that are just joining now, you know, having somebody like myself talk to you, I do wish I had that back then. I had the one guy, he didn't answer all the questions because he just joined himself. So I hope you guys appreciate it because it's really going to help you out. I know it is.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. That's great. So I just want to go talk a little bit about your company and your philosophy. I know when we chatted before, you had said that you've got a lot of tenured folk, and you specifically told me a story that I just loved and I want you to share about a customer whose son needed a little help. And can you share that story? It's a great story.
Yeah, so I had a customer who's been a customer for over 10 years now. Their son was just getting out of prison, made a mistake, some drugs, not a big deal, and he needed some help. So they came to me. I thought it was real respectful for this gentleman to ask me for help. That really, made me feel good, and it really knocked me to my knees. And he would ask me. So I said, sure, no problem. Let me, I'll give him a chance. So, people need chances. So I hired him. This guy I took him under my wing and I said, look, you've got a second chance. Okay. If you do anything wrong, you're going to go right back to where you were. And I know you don't want to go right back. So I'm going to give you a chance to grow, but you've got to help yourself too. So I opened up schooling to him. He took advantage of that. He went and got his apprentice license. We helped him out. We do that with our employees. Now, folks, he's a foreman. He's making, I think he's up over $112,000 a year. He's got house. He's got 3 kids now.
Wow.
One was from previous with his new wife here. But yeah, so let me tell you, folks, that made me feel good. Okay.
Yeah.
That I was able to give somebody an opportunity and they took full advantage of it. And
that's what I'm getting at. Your folks that are joining the platform, this is a great opportunity. And when you have an opportunity, whether what you're talking about or starting a business, you have to make the most of it.
Yeah, you got to make the most of it. And when you, and I can't stress that enough is, when you're out there, folks, have the guys in uniforms. It gives uniformity, and clients are going to appreciate that more. Have the vans clean, because subconsciously, when your people show up and everything's neat and clean, guess what, folks? They're going to be like, wow, if they're that neat and clean with their uniforms and vans, then they're going to be neat and clean on my job. And I can't stress enough how many reviews I get about being clean and neat. We do a $100,000 kitchen remodel. The review is not about how beautiful the kitchen is. Oh, they love it. The wife cries, the husband might cry, whatever the case may be. But they leave the review about how clean we were. So I correlate it to this. They expect you to be able to do the job. You're a contractor, you're licensed. But what they don't expect is the unexpected. Don't give people a reason to let you go. Give people a reason to make you stay. And when you do that, they're going to pick up the phone and they're going to keep calling you. We have clients that have been around 15, 20 years. We have what I call a board of trust. It is people's keys and alarm codes. They just pick up the phone. They say, hey, Reid, they could be clients from 10 years ago. Reid, we're at work, AC's out. Can you fix it today? And that, let me tell you, when you get there, folks, that's success right there.
Impressive. That is fantastic. So you shared one other story that I wanna go back to. The Kleenex versus the tissue. Do you remember?
I do. Yeah. So when I flew out to the HomeAdvisor headquarters, again, it was Service Magic back then. There was an employee there, Mr. Robert Sugahara, who we kind of came up together. I joined HomeAdvisor, and he was an employee there. Of course, he's just a tremendous guy, and he's worked his way up to the company. But we would talk every week, and I would tell him about how we're doing, and he would tell me about what he thought we should do. We just had a great thing. That's why I reiterate back: pick up the phone and call. So getting back to what I was saying, I had so many reviews in one year. Robert's like, man, wow, that's, how'd you do that? Even he was like, that's pretty good to get 75 in 1 year and be a single company. So I happened to be out there. He's like, hey, why don't you come on by the headquarters and we'll show you around. And I said, okay. So I went out there, did a little, back then it was CD. We didn't have this Zoom camera stuff.
Yeah.
So I filmed a CD for new contractors. And we ended up going to lunch, and I thought it was so nice at the time. It was, I think it was the VP went to lunch with us, either the VP or the president. I think it was the vice president. I could be wrong on that. Robert might remember better than me. But regardless, we get to lunch, and I'll never forget the story, because he's like, he's asking me, and I said, well, what are your plans, for the future? Because I want to be able to rely on HomeAdvisor 10 years from now to get leads. I love you guys. You're going to be around 10 years from now. And he told me a story. He's like, Reid, when you think of Kleenex, right, you think of a tissue. When somebody says, pass me the Kleenex, you automatically know it's a tissue. I said, yeah. He goes, how many other tissue companies do you know of? And I was like, oh my God, you're right. Everybody thinks Kleenex is the maker and inventor of tissues. They're not. But they did such a good job of marketing and all that great stuff that when you think of Kleenex, you already know, oh, tissue. Everybody knows that. So that was really cool. And that stuck with me. And I wanted people, I wanted to correlate that with my own company. After Hours Home Improvement, great customer service.
Yep. Great. So this is good. We're going to start wrapping up our conversation. I know we've got some questions. So folks, if you've got any other questions, urge you guys to use the bottom, the question and answer box. I'm going to go into just a little bit of some HomeAdvisor information. Kelly, if you can switch to the next slide, that would be fantastic. So we're just going to kind of go over a little bit about what Reid and I talked about. The first one is download the Pro app. That's something that we didn't speak to. But if you're a small shop, one-on-one, just one or two people, I urge you guys to, not even that, anybody really, just download the Pro app. This is a great way to manage your account, and it allows you to respond to homeowners really, really quickly. Especially if you're on a job, it's just a great way. You can text right from there. We were talking about texting, but I urge you all to download the Pro app. We did talk about your cadence and that to call leads. This one says within 15 minutes. I'm going to urge you guys to push that a little bit and to call within 1 to 2 minutes. We find that pros that get in touch with homeowners or customers within two minutes or less have a tendency to convert that job or at least to connect with the homeowner. So really want to urge you guys to get a script together and to make sure that you're calling that lead within a minute. We spent a lot of time about requesting reviews. You can request a review right from the app. As Reid spoke about, those reviews really drive customers and homeowners to connect with you. The last thing we didn't touch on too much, which this is managing lead flow. You have to be in charge of your money, and we give you a profile, which we'll talk about in a second, where you can manage your entire account. So you want to make sure that you're confirming and using zip codes that are going to be in areas that you service. And you want to make sure that you're tracking your ROI. So we'll go to the next slide, but these are just a couple tips for success that we wanted to share with you. Now, this next slide, I want to talk a little bit about the Pro Portal. This is what goes onto the directory. So this is where you're going to upload your logos. If you've got any badges, if you've done any outreach in the community. When I talk about photos, I would urge you guys to put a picture of the crew and maybe your van. Since most of us are kind of at a work from home, or people are doing a lot more home improvement projects because of the, what we're living through with COVID. Anything that you can to kind of start that warm connection. I know for myself, I would, be much more comfortable having a service professional come to my house, at least if I had seen what they look like. Reid said that all of his folks are in a uniform. They all have a clean van. Any of that stuff that you can put on your Pro Portal is going to go a long way to making the homeowner feel more confident. And through this Pro Portal, you can request reviews, you can manage your spend, you can pay your bills. There's a lot of articles and tools on there that'll be very beneficial. So I'm going to urge you guys to spend some time on this profile to get it as much information as you can on there, because again, that's your directory, that's your storefront. So a storefront that has a lot of information is going to be much more enticing than one without a lot. Now, going over to the right-hand side of the screen, we did talk about this. This is a HomeAdvisor Pro app. And again, I'm going to urge you guys to download this. It's, like most apps, it's very user-friendly, and you can manage most of your business right through this app. And now we're going to go to the next slide. If you guys can, I'm going to urge you guys to take a screenshot of this. This is some great resources that we have. So the Pro Resource Center, you can learn more about the platform. There's all sorts of different videos or articles. It'll actually teach you how to make your profile robust. It tells you follow-up strategies, talks about lead types, just a lot of really great information there. And then the Pro Help Center, that's where you're going to kind of learn more about business as general. So you're going to maybe paycheck protection, small business loans, that kind of thing. And then lastly, the business customer care number. Reid was saying that's the number that you can call in. You can ask questions. If anything that you need, that business customer care will be able to help you. And there's also a live chat function if that's your preference. So we're going to move into the question and answers. Kelly's going to jump in and see if we've got any questions, and hopefully Reid and I can answer some of those.
All right, let me pull this up here. So one of the people that asked us the questions is talking about that they actually subcontract their work out. Mm-hmm. And so they don't necessarily have the licenses to do the work, but all their subcontractors do, and how you would just manage that, or if you have a best practices for that.
Are you shooting that question to me?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're asking about, they don't have the licenses, but they use subcontractors.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll explain that to you. obviously it would behoove you, whomever asked that question, to get your licenses, okay? A couple of reasons why. One is the customer, so I have every license you can have: master plumbing, gas, electric, HVAC. I have all 4 masters: my residential building license, my home improvement license, my general contracting license, commercial building license. Look, your general contracting license, most people don't know this, even if you're a GCA, means absolutely nothing. All it means is that you can hire subcontractors, okay? Now, if you get all those designations like I have, then you're batting 1,000. But a couple things. If you're going to hire subcontractors, make sure in the contract, and that's by law, that you tell the people that. I would work on getting your licenses. You're going to be much better off. You're going to have better control. Because those subcontractors you got to hire, they got to have insurance, and chances are they're going to be somebody like me that's already successful and has their own company. So you're not going to really have much room to make money there. Second of all, with HomeAdvisor, and I love this about HomeAdvisor, you're going to have a difficult time. HomeAdvisor will not give you a lead. Let's say you want HVAC leads and you're just a GC and you hire subcontractors. Well, you're not going to get HVAC leads because HomeAdvisor only gives leads to the practices that you are licensed in. Now, some people say, well, that's not fair. Well, it is, folks, because we work hard to get our licenses, and they also want to make sure that they're covering themselves. Okay, it's an insurance thing, lawsuits, and all that kind of stuff. So I would spend the time. It's not that difficult to get them. You'd be better off. You're going to get better leads. I think you can get some leads with a GC license. I don't know about that. I don't work at HomeAdvisor. I'm just telling you from my experience. But I know for a fact you're not getting any plumbing, electric, gas, or HVAC leads without those designations. Even with the GC, I still think you need to have that, depending on the state now. Like for us, if we have a GC and I want to get home improvement leads from HomeAdvisor, well, HomeAdvisor goes and they look at the state regulations. They refer back to that. In our state, if you want to do certain home improvements, you need a home improvement license. If you want to do remodel work and major remodel work, you need a residential building license. Now, is it hard to get? Pretty difficult to get, but it's worth it. So really hone in on what you're trying to do. And if you do hire subcontractors, you can do that. I just think you're going to have a better experience if you just can get that one designation. You're going to open yourself up to much more leads from HomeAdvisor, more quality leads, more quality jobs, and then you're not going to have to rely on other people to do the work for you. That would be my best advice.
Great advice. Thank you for that.
Okay, the next one is one of these people does not have a website. And so they're wondering how important it is to have one when they're using the HomeAdvisor's platform. And I'll just add to this, do you think that their profile could stand in place of a website?
I do. HomeAdvisor is out there on all the best channels, folks. CNN and major network channels. They're all over the internet. Another thing that HomeAdvisor does that's so great is they have their top 25. So if you type in, if a consumer is looking for a plumber, I'm just going to use that as an example. Now, this does cost extra money, but it's not that expensive. Pay for it, folks, because you're going to rotate on that top 25, but you're going to be in the top 3. So HomeAdvisor is doing the work for you. It's not that important if you have a great profile on HomeAdvisor. Obviously, if you're depending on them for all your leads, that's great. But I would highly recommend to get your own website because it's more professional. It gives you it gives you more. It just gives you more when the client's out there looking for you. It gives you more credibility. And there's nothing wrong with just having your own. Just get a cheap website. Obviously, you're not going to rely on that for your leads. I mean, our website isn't anything tremendous. We rely a lot on HomeAdvisor, but we have one there because I think it's a good practice. But I don't think you need both of them to be successful if you're with HomeAdvisor. I just think it's another tool that's going to help.
Great advice.
All right, and last one, which I think you could both take on, is can you guys just explain kind of the difference between leads and opportunities and how you utilize them?
I'll jump into that first. So we've got a couple different lead types. One is called market match, another is exact match, and then we've got some others that are called job opportunities. Market match and exact match are kind of your basic, your core lead types that you're going to get. Market match means that you are going to be matched with, a homeowner is going to be matched with up to 3 or 4 pros. An exact match is when the homeowner has gone to the directory, has looked at your profile, your website, and has said, oh my gosh, I want to send my information directly to after hours home improvement. So they're going to send their information directly to you. So there are a couple different types of leads. And job opportunities, that is when HomeAdvisor is not able to find a contractor within the zip codes that you're profiled for. But it might be just outside of your area. So we're going to send that lead to you, and it's up to you whether or not you want to accept it or not. I mean, if it's way across town, you don't have the bandwidth or your employees to take that lead, you can decline it. But if you're like, hey, I'm not that busy, I want to go get that lead, then you're going to accept it, and then the customer has to accept it. So I think that's what they were asking for, Kaylee. I'm not sure if I answered that 100%.
Yeah, I think that was good.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off that. So, yeah, the market match, folks, is exactly what she said. It's going to be you and 3 or 4 other home improvement contractors. And that's just the way it works. It's competition. And like I told you before, if they go to your website, they're still going to 3, 4, 5, 10 other companies, folks. So it's no big deal. But get to the person first. Get in front of the person. Do your job and close them. Give them a reason to go with you, not against you. What you want to set yourself up for is exact match leads. And that's when you get your profile so good, you get all these reviews that the customers are so blown away that they either call HomeAdvisor. We get a lot of those too. And we get calls from HomeAdvisor. Hey, we got Johnny Smith on the other line. They want to talk to you. Or they simply are linked just your information, and it's just you, folks. So, I strive for those. Those are great. You don't have any other competition. That is an exact match lead. They are tremendous. Now, the job opportunity ones, those are great too, because sometimes jobs can't be filled. Everybody's busy. They kick it out to you, hoping maybe somebody can take it. But I do want to reiterate something within the job opportunities. When you set up the zip codes, folks, if you want to set yourself up for success, don't overwhelm yourself with too many leads, because what you're going to end up doing is declining yourself, because you're not going to be able to get to all the calls. You're not going to be able to get to all the leads, and then you don't want that. So just kind of start in a couple of zip codes that you feel comfortable in, because their jobs are there. HomeAdvisor's got leads, folks. You don't have to worry about that. I assure you, your phone's going to ring. Your email's going to, make a noise. You're going to get leads, but you don't want to overwhelm yourself. I want to get to every customer. I want every job, but I know that that's not possible. So the ones I do get, I do the best dang job that I can do to get them to come back to me and to get them to talk about HomeAdvisor. Okay? That's how you set yourself up for success, folks.
I couldn't have said it better. So thank you. I think this is a great place for us to leave it. Reid, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure spending some time with you. I appreciate all the information you gave to our new service providers, to our new pros on the platform. Good luck. I know you guys are going to be great. And everybody else, have a great day. Thanks so much.
Thank you.